Well, it is time for us to get an update on what's happening at Faith Community Church, and we have with us Pastor Dave this morning again to help us get an update there. Pastor, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Jerry. It is windy.
It is windy.
You know how windy it is?
How?
Come on, Ed. Come on, Ed. Ask the question.
You had this all set up, didn't you?
No.
How windy is it, Johnny?
It is so windy that I had two deadlines of things I was going to get done before I got to the radio station blow right past me this morning.
You see, they just blew right past you.
Once said, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound they make as they go right past me. So, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to this morning so far.
Oh, well.
Yes.
We'll get it done.
You know, you only work one day a week. You try to make stuff matter and count, but it doesn't always work that way.
I'm planning on coming by for free lunch today.
Well, you could, except free lunch was yesterday.
No.
It was.
Man.
Sorry. You can come by today for free Well, wait a minute. Those teenagers, I don't know if there's any free leftovers.
I would be real surprised.
It's kind of like a horde of locusts come in, and when you're done, there's a few stalks standing. But actually, it was great, Jerry. We had over 50 kids from junior, senior hires at Red Oak. And we just offered the lunch during their two lunch times. And it's funny, Connie made fun of me because when I was meeting with Lori last week, she said, so what time's free lunch? I said, I don't know. It's whenever lunch is at Red Oak. So I come home and Connie says, everyone was laughing at you, didn't know the time. I said, so what time is free lunch? She says, I don't know. So whenever they know free lunch is and they're dismissed for lunch, they can hop in their cars and drive down there. And we do it once a month. And Jerry, explain this to me because you're a renowned expert. Explain to me. Chili and sweet rolls. Explain that to me. Because the kids were so excited, and they were dipping their sweet rolls into their chili.
No,
that ain't right.
No,
I don't think the good Lord intended for that kind of nice sweet icing to go into that chili con carne atmosphere. But yeah, they were doing it.
That's not natural. No,
they loved it.
They're not getting the education they need.
In fact, some of that chili was made by a gal. I don't know if you know her name is Mel, and she actually did some chili for us when we did a fifth quarter a couple months ago, and so we had some of that left over, nice and safely frozen, and so we were still eating on that good chili.
She can make a pretty mean pot of chili.
She sure can.
Was it venison in it, or was it beef?
You know, I don't know, and I didn't ask her. I love venison and chili. I think that makes chili.
Coming from their house, it could have been rabbit, it could have been squirrel, it could have been venison, could have been beef.
Could have been, what do you call that when you take the hammer to it? It could have already been pre-tenderized because the tire hits it just right.
That's right. Roadkill.
That's right.
If you hit it just right, it's all ready to put in the...
There you go. Yeah, little prep work then.
Could very well have been.
Yeah, so you missed free lunch. I'm sorry. I would have loved to have had you, but we'll have it again next month.
I see.
In fact, Jerry, it was an amazing week because we started, everything kind of has launched this week. So Monday, we launched our mops for the first mops of 2014, and Randy Johnson and her crew just did an awesome job. My Connie actually coordinates the mopette workers because she just loves to be with little kids. She's a grandma, you know. And they just had a terrific crowd of people, and it went so well. So the mops launched really good, and then the next night, Tuesday night, we launched our Financial Peace University. And we had 29 people, and most of them not from Faith Community, from all over Southwest Iowa, some from over by Trainer, some over by Villisca, some over by Griswold. I mean, just from all over, as well as within our own Red Oak community. And that was a great launch. And Jerry, I want to say, if you know of someone that still wants to come to Financial Peace and they missed the first night, it's not too late. In fact, the first night was free to anyone to come. So if you come next week, folks, and though you'll be in the second one, you can still come and pick up your kit, and you will be able to go back and watch the first session online free. So you'll be just a week behind, but I got to tell you, it won't really feel like it to you because they set up the first session. I mean, you've already were given homework, I'll be honest with you, but it's set up so people can come and look and then decide whether they want to continue or not. So it's not very intense at all, and you could pick up right where you left off. We have some kits left. We started with 15 kits. We have 3 left, but I've actually purchased 4 more, so we are ready. And if you still want to come, it's next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And it was fun to watch the people sit through the first one. I heard from a young lady about to be married earlier today, and she said, boy, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. And they're a young couple just getting off the ground and already have their first mortgage. Their first mortgage is called school loans. And so helping them step into that, learn how to manage that. So, yeah, It was a great launch. And then last night, all of our children's ministries, Jump, which is up through grades 4, Shout, grades 5 and 6, and Exit, grades 7 through the end of high school. We all met and got started, and it went great. It just was wonderful.
Peace University is best for who?
You know, Jerry, Financial Peace University is for anyone that has money that they have to spend. Because that can mean someone who's really a good money manager. But it's like going to the doctor for a physical. You don't always want to wait until something's wrong. You want to be proactive and go and get a checkup. And Financial Peace University is perfect for that. And I've had people who are just very wise with their money come, and they've learned some very important things, and it's actually helped them go from good to great. Also for most of us, which should just be Joe and Josephine average, who, don't have a ton in the bank. Jerry, the United States, Americans have less in savings than most any other, and we'll say westernized country in the world. We have the least in savings. And so maybe you're one of those, you're plugging along well, you're handling your money. You don't have a lot in savings. If maybe a couple $1,000 emergency comes your way, you're not quite sure how you're going to do that unless you lay some plastic down. Well, this is perfect for you to learn how in a very short amount of time you can have an emergency fund in place. You can have debt eliminated, not your mortgage, because that's different, and you can be doing it. Now, Jerry, we also have people who, like I was, who really, about 9 years ago, I was just in a financial mess. And I was in trouble, and I had not managed my money well. I can tell you all the good reasons why we had emergencies and all the sad reasons why we had emergencies, but the simple fact was I was spending more than I was making. And as I kept doing that, my debt kept getting bigger and bigger. And the way credit debt is set up, they start penalizing you. It's just like bouncing at the bank. They call it a fee, and I'm not going to judge them for that, but it's a penalty. Suddenly, what you owe is greater because of penalties or because of late fees or because of this. And boy, my debt just started snowballing and turning into Mount Everest. And I can't tell you I'd bought a sports car. I can't tell you I'd bought the latest and greatest. I can tell you I had 3 daughters going to college. But all of a sudden we had to stop and do a real hard gut check and begin the slow journey back. That may be you like I was, so Financial Peace is perfect for you, and especially if you feel overwhelmed, like this is too much of a mess. Folks, I need to tell you, I probably took 6 months kind of whistling to myself, pretending like it wasn't as bad as I knew it was, until one day I laid it out on paper and looked at it, and I'm a bit of an avoider by nature. If I don't want to hear something, I kind of pretend like it's not there. And I looked at it and I realized something had to be done. So it's for that kind of person, Jerry, who maybe, and by the way, we don't come in and say, okay, who's good managers, who's average managers, who's really stinks. But I always tell with the people at FPU, no one gets my chair because I am the mayor of Stupidville. Because no one was in the kind of mess I was in. But we never ask information. We never pry. People don't have to stand up and confess their debt. We never do that. We do work together, but never with the confidential stuff. We never know what your light bill is. We never know what your debt is. We never know what your salary is. So it's very private, but it's a chance of coming together and learning. Because, Jerry, money's not evil. Money's just money. People say, well, the Bible says money's the root of all evil. The Bible doesn't say that. Money, the love of money is, but money can be used for good. It can be used for bad. It's just money. Whether it has zeros on it or not really doesn't matter. So it's a matter of you learning to get to the place, I like to say, Jerry, you get to the place where you start telling your money what to do. For instance, today, Jerry, I still have car payments. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I have car payments. Every month I make a car payment to the bank at Dave McDonald. And it goes into my savings account, and when my next car is ready to be purchased, I will have the cash for it. Not going to buy new, but then I don't need new. There'd be no living with me if I drove a nice car. I'd just be too snooty. But I'm saving up so I can get a car, and I'm making payments to me every month. So I'm telling my car payment what to do. And for many a year, I was so upside down in my car payments. I once owed $14,000 on a car that was worth $3,500. That's what I call upside down.
Good.
That's upside down.
That's not good.
So FPU's for anyone, Jerry. And as I mentioned, most of the people who attended don't go to Faith Community. Just like most of the young men and women who came to free lunch don't go to Faith Community. Just like at MOPS, we have ladies from all over Southwest Iowa. Jerry, we do these. I mean, we love to serve our people, and we love to help encourage them. And I would love, as a pastor of people who attend Faith Community, to help them and serve them, whether they're parenting preteens, whether or preschool or preteens or teens, or whether they're handling finances. I love my church, but this is bigger than that. And so we have people come, and we never try to get them to come to our church. We don't put a strong sell on and lean on them. And especially if we know they're going to another church, we encourage them to stay in their church and be a rich part of the life of that church.
So once again, Financial Peach University meets what time, what night?
It meets every Tuesday, and our second one is this next Tuesday, and we are still letting new folks come. Now, I must say that after this week, we do cut it off. Then it's not an open group. It closes for our final 7 weeks. It's a total of 9. But next Tuesday, you can still come. Starts at 7 o'clock in our sanctuary, and we always have some little snack and some water and, excuse me, some pop, and you can come in and be seated, and you will be in your car driving home by probably 15 till 9.
And as we pointed out, it's open to anybody from anywhere.
It is. We do ask, Jerry, that a couple purchase a kit. The kit is $89, because we've learned if you put nothing into something, that's exactly what you're going to get out of it. And so we have couples that kind of have to crunch their finances and see if they can do it, and we'll work with them. But we don't make a dime. We just buy what they cost, sell what they cost, and then we take care of the food and little snack stuff. So it's not a revenue for us at all. But yeah, anyone can come, Jerry, and I would be willing to talk to anyone on the phone. You can call the church at 3472. That's 623-3472. Now, today's my study day, so I'm away, usually somewhere at a neutral site and getting my studies done, because I find I can't do that in the office. But I'm in the office tomorrow, and I would love to talk to you and answer any questions you have.
Men's night's coming up.
It is. We're calling it Men's Night Out. It's actually going to be a week from tonight, and we're just inviting men to come in together. Jerry, we're part of a men's Bible study that meets every Thursday morning at the YMCA. That's from guys all over. It launched from our church, but now it's really not a faith community study at all. It's just guys together. Some of the faith men help lead it, but great study. We've also had a Monday night study for men that just wrapped up. A week from tonight, Tuesday night, Thursday night, we're inviting the men to come together for a meal, and they're going to hear about possibilities, 2 possible get-togethers they could be a part of. One will meet 3 times a month, and it'll be a particular study. Another will meet once a month. And what'll happen, and frankly, I'm going to kind of look hard at that once a month. I might be able to do that in my schedule. I'd love to meet with men and do that. And the studies will depend. The once a month study is called Letters to Dad, and the 3 weeks, 3 times a month study, the guys will get together and decide what they're going to do. So you could have something to do every night of the week, or you could simply do something once a month. But that meeting on Tuesday or Thursday, I don't know why I got Tuesday in my brain. That meeting next Thursday, a week from tonight, is to come as men, talk about it, see what's available. Nothing launches that night. You just get to hear about it and decide.
And that's where again?
That would be at Faith Community Church, again, right in the sanctuary. And you do not have to be a part of Faith Community Church. I hope you folks understand that. We love it if people are looking for a church home. We love it if we can help you in your life's walk. But we care about you because Jesus cares about you. And you don't have to fit an outline we have, that if you fit these 3 points, we want you here. You just come as you are, and you come for a study and go to wherever else you are. We're fine with that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Pastor Dave McDonald from Faith Community Church in Red Oak with us this morning, giving us an update on what has been happening there and what is happening there. Many opportunities for you and your family, even if you're not a member of the church or already a member somewhere else, or even if you're not going to church, there are lots of opportunities for you.
That's right.
We would love to have you come and get a blessing out of whatever it is they're doing.
Jerry, we have people who call our church their home, and we'll see them maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And we're okay with that. Now, I believe the more you attend, the better you become health-wise. And when you fellowship with other people who follow Christ, you're stronger than you are playing solo. But we never send a message to those people, come more often, we don't like you, we'll like you more if you come more. We have people all over Southwest Iowa that say, if you were to ask them, where's your home church, it'd say Faith Community. I had someone come up to me and tell me Faith Community Church was their home church. And I said, cool. And I said, why? I said, because I like that Pastor Dan guy. I said, "Oh, is he any good?" He says, "Yeah, he's really good." So they liked Pastor Dan, and that's why they came. So the funny part of that story was they didn't realize who they were talking to. But what I loved about the story was they called Faith Community Church their home church. I have families who I'll have relationship with when there's a crisis, and I'm their pastor. I may never see them Sunday, but if I can be Jesus to them and help them during that process, that's fine.
And of course, the Danny was referring to was Brett White.
That's right.
That's
right.
He just hadn't picked up the right name yet.
No, that's right. They
he'll
did.
rotate on around there.
They'll figure it out. They'll figure out who the good guy is and who the other guy is.
They'll figure that out for too long.
Hey, you know what we did Sunday? At our service Sunday, we had Kyla Noe Hernandez. They've been attending our church for the last couple of months. Kyla was a young person in our church, Tom and Lisa Johnson's oldest daughter. They have been ministers in Ottumwa, Iowa for about 7 years, and they left yesterday morning at 7 in the morning for Paraguay. So we gathered them up front, gave them a chance to share Kyla Noe and their 3 lovely children, and off they went yesterday morning. They landed probably about 3 hours ago in Paraguay to begin their ministry there. So we were so privileged in the small part we've played in that family to just gather around them and pray and commission them for the work God has called them to. So that was amazing.
What are we going to do this Sunday?
Well, this Sunday it's kind of boring. I'm just going to preach. I know.
What are we going to preach on?
Well, I'm doing, a lot of people decided, Jerry, in January to go ahead and try and read the Bible through. And so obviously we begin in Genesis. And so what I'm doing, started last week, and I'm going to do this week and next. I'm calling my sermon A Tale of Two Sons. And so last week we looked at Cain and Abel, because there are 3 times in Genesis we get a glimpse of 2 sons. There's a father and their sons. This week we're looking at Isaac and Ishmael. And that's the story of Abram, who was told by God that he was an older man. Now, people lived different back then, but he was plenty old. And God said, you will have descendants that will outnumber the stars of the sky. And he's looking at himself and his old wife and wondering, how can this be? And the story of how God will slowly unfold his will. But how Abram, who becomes Abraham, I don't know, Jerry, just like sometimes I do, I try to shortcut what God wants to do. I mean, I really want what God wants, but I want it my way. I want it in my time. I want to figure out how he's going to do it. I want to help him do it. And sure enough, Sarah comes to Abraham and suggests, you can have your family tree begin, but use my servant here, Hagar, and have a son through him. And today, Jerry, Ishmael and Isaac are what we know as the Arab nations and Israel. So we can see all the way back to where this begins, this tension, this, some would declare hatred toward 2 races that came from the heart of God. And I certainly don't think the Arab nations are a mistake because of rebellion. That's the beauty of it. But we still today feel the consequences of way, way back when a lady and her husband decided they're going to rush God and do it their own way. I've just preached my whole message. Folks, you can go ahead and sleep in on Sunday. No, we're going to talk about that.
What else is happening at Faith Community of Church, or would you like to say to our listeners this morning, Pastor Dave?
Right now, Jerry, we're in the midst of doing life at Faith Community with our ministries going on. So there's a rumor in the air that we are going to do a wonderful Easter concert at the church, but that's just a rumor. But I understand we might be putting together a choir in February, so you'll hear more about that. But we're just in the midst of launching out in January and doing life as a church, and the joy of, we have people in our church who are young couples without children, and we have people who have been serving this country of ours and serving our church for years, and everything in between. You might trip over a kid in the hallway, and you might have to walk slow because you have someone older who just needs to take their time, keeping their balance as they walk down the hallway. That's Faith Community Church. And we're just doing life together, Jerry. And the difference between us and any group that's not religious gathering is that we love Jesus Christ. He has made a difference in our lives. It began when we turned to him and asked his forgiveness and began a relationship which he actually went to the cross to make possible. But then it's just doing life together. Our mission statement, Jerry, is whatever it takes, connecting people to God and each other through Christ. You can never have a healthy relationship until God is in the middle of it. But folks, we're not going to rush it down your throat. Frankly, I'm a pastor, but I can't talk you into anything. If I can talk you into doing something, it's not going to be real. It's kind of like when I had to discipline my daughters and I'd finally get the behavior I wanted, but I could look into their beautiful little eyes and I knew full well I may have gotten the behavior, but I hadn't captured anything about the will. They were still doing what they were doing in their mind, and first chance they got, they proved it to me. So only God can do the work, but we will be a part of what he's doing. We will be a vehicle, we will be a banner, we will be arms, legs, feet, elbows, part of his body doing his will. And anyone's welcome to be a part of it. We only require at Faith Community Church you not be perfect. If you're perfect, you're not going to like it at our church, because we let all sorts of people through the door. I mean, we let humans and their kids and their expectations and their baggage and their wounds and we just let them all through the door. So it just becomes a beautiful, chaotic, wonderful experience.
First service is at 9.
First service is at 9 o'clock, and we're suggesting something new for 2014. We're suggesting you come before 9 o'clock. Now, it's a new idea, but we have found that sometimes when we start service at 9 o'clock, the number we have present doesn't look anything like the number that'll be there 10 minutes later. So I've debated saying the services start at 8:56, but do you think that would help?
Probably not.
Probably not. So we have our 9 o'clock service, and then we also have another service at 10:45. And during the 10:45 service, Jerry, we have Sunday school for all ages. And you can come as you are, and we have wonderful music. We just had some visitors here 2 weeks ago that said, my goodness, your church just overwhelmed us with their friendliness. And they were actually people strong in another church in Omaha just coming over for a visit. They're with Nebraska Christian College, and they were just coming because we're building a bridge to them. It's a fine school. And they were just amazed at our church. And that's when you just lean back and go, that's what Faith Community Church is, just good people.
Where are you located?
We are located north on Highway 8. Jerry.
That's a city highway. That's a city highway, not a state highway.
Jerry just threw me off base and I'm lost. We're located in Akron, Ohio, not too far from the No, okay. We're located north of Highway 34 on 8th Street. And if you go up the hill, in other words, you're coming north of the school, you got that Super 8 and that, you're going north of the high school and the cemetery. We're up the hill on the top on the left-hand side.
Is Becky at the church?
Becky's at the church right now, and she has got the kindest, sweetest, helpful spirit, and she'll answer any question you have, and she's there for you. In fact, you can ask her today questions about FPU, and she can probably answer them all for you.
Becky will let you know when he leaves here. If he doesn't get there within 5 or 10 minutes, let us know, and we'll send our troops out looking for him.
I'm heading for Highway 8. I can't wait to get there. I've heard good things about it.
He may be lost, so if he doesn't show up, let us know, and
I don't think I've ever lived by a Highway 8 in my life. I don't know. What happened? Where am I?
We'll find him and get him back there. So, anything else I don't know that I should know?
No, I love the answer you give people, best day of my life, and I guess I would agree with you that every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before, and there are ups and downs. There are days you could buy my job for a nickel because I just feel the load of it, but I got to tell you, Jerry, just like you, there's nothing better than doing what God's called you to do. Nothing. And by the way, do you know God uses people that work radio stations? He doesn't just use pastors. He uses farmers, and he uses moms and students and kids. So, folks, I hope you come to realize how fantastic your day can be with all the blacks and whites and ups and downs when you come to that personal encounter with Jesus Christ. He is always and only a prayer away.
Makes me think of Dennis Zener. Do you have any new information for me on Dennis?
I am so glad you asked. Were you listening last week when Laura and I talked? I mean, you are the one in charge of the station.
Yeah,
I'm assumed you'd exercise enough responsibility, but perhaps I'm assuming. I had a chance to see Dennis. See, I'm getting back at you because you threw me off about Highway 8. We had a chance to see Dennis a week ago Saturday. We were in Des Moines and had a wonderful time with him. He looks good. And I'll remind you what I said last week to your audience. Pray. There's a chance he could be home on the 24th of January. Now, there's still some outpatient surgery to be done on his ankle, but everything is progressing nicely. But Dennis can now take 350 steps on his walker, And one of the doctors were trying to finally kindly prepare him for the possibility you may always be in a chair. You may always kind of have to move with assistance. And that's when you kind of saw that little red glow in Dennis's eyes. And he says, oh, I won't be moving with assistance much longer. I'm going to be walking on my own. And I think he's 100% right. And he's in good spirits. He's an amazing man, finishing up his 4th month since the injury in the hospital, or now in a care center.
Wow.
And Dennis is an example to me. And, of course, his lovely wife and Adam and Janet, they're just amazing. You talk with them, they don't complain. They don't go around with this big frown on their face. They don't act like they're victims. They don't act like life is unfair. It's put a lot more on their plate, but they're sweet people. If you didn't know them and you met them on the street, you just assume she's going home to have a normal meal with her husband and son. And you wouldn't know that to have a normal meal with her husband means after a full day of work and taking care of Adam, who's just a great kid, but frankly eats like 14 people, she has to hop in her car and drive 2 hours east to go spend time with her husband. So, yeah, the Zeners are fine. Pray, folks. There's some stuff that has to happen for him to be able to come home the end of January on the 24th. Pray especially for that ankle, and pray that the outpatient surgery can be done simply enough that following that surgery, he can do his rehabilitation at home.
Very good.
And then we have a lift chair in our church, and we're having Chuck Riggle. Chuck can fix anything. And we're going to get that lift chair working, and so that's available for him. So he'll have a chair in his house that can kind of lift up when he needs to sit on it, and he can go back down. But Dennis is a little too ornery. He's going to always feel the effect of this injury. But I have a feeling a year from now, if you didn't know him, you wouldn't know.
Very good.
Yeah, but thank you for asking about that. Yeah, pray for Dennis.
And I guess I would just use that to spring from that to say that almost everybody, in fact, I think everybody out there listening knows somebody that could use a word of encouragement. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a card, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a personal visit, maybe it's a piece of peanut butter pie. I don't know.
Yeah. You're still thinking about that pie since you talked to the sanctuary, aren't you? You still got peanut butter pie in your mind.
Still on my mind.
Well, Jerry, I'm amazed because sometimes as a pastor, I have to do pastoral duties that involve special things. And so often when I come into a room, right or wrong, people think this is a bigger deal because it's a pastor. You and I know it's not a bigger deal. I'm just a person. But what people might not realize is you walking into that room, you picking up that phone call and just saying, I was thinking of you today. And by the way, you can say that to a person when nothing's going wrong in their life. And sometimes you find out something was going wrong. If you do, don't make it about you and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. What are you sorry for? You didn't need to know. You just called to say, I'm thinking about you. I care about you. Have a great day. Or a little note that says, thanks for how you watched my kids last week. Or thank you so much for teaching my teenager and hanging in there. Those little notes, I'll tell you, that's amazing. Or just a word. Even a smile at the store. Because we have some young clerks that are still trying to figure things out at times. And you can just watch their brow and you can feel their tension. And someone's throwing a coupon at them and there's a line and everyone's kind of got to go somewhere because we all think we're so busy. And just a gentle word and a smile and an encouragement, you're doing fine, thank you so much, makes all the difference. Gave someone a hug Sunday and said, I want you to know I love you and I'm proud of you. And you need to know, folks, it was all appropriate and in public. And the person looked at me and got tears in her eyes and said, thank you. And I thought, frankly, well, that's not that big of a deal. But to them, it was huge. And actually, I did mean it. Mm-hmm. But, Jerry, you are so right. You don't need the pros to come in and be the presence of Jesus in people's lives. Anyone can.
One last comment, and then I'll let you get back to your day job. I was at the U.S. Senate candidate forum last night.
I wanted to go.
And, I know you had other responsibilities, but I came away from there, and then this morning as I was thinking back through that, how much we need to be in prayer for our public servants in whatever capacity that may be, whether they're in the U.S. House or Senate or State House or Senate or even in the county or city official capacity of leadership. Yes. We need to pray for them. I think our country really needs dedicated, focused Christian leadership right now. And we have a responsibility, I think, to, number one, lift up those who are in that position. That's and right. Then do our part to see to it that when there are vacancies, the people who are most aligned with the principles of God's Word are elected to those positions.
Boy, Jerry, I couldn't agree more. And I think because maybe there are things going on we don't agree with, and people holding office that do not share our values, and decisions being made that make us feel like, some of us feel like our rights are being taken from us and we have no say. It feels justified to kind of glower and be frustrated and be angry with politics by its nature tends to fall within itself, and absolute power does tend to eventually corrupt absolutely. So we know that every person elected is human, and we know some of those that are elected made it clear at the beginning, I don't share your values. But we should pray for them. If you had someone who was a bus driver of your child and taking them to school, are you praying for them? And if you are, why are you? What if they don't share your views? What if they don't agree with you? What if you didn't like their dad? And you'd say, well, that's silly. They take care of my child. You bet I pray for them. Or do you pray for the teacher? Well, now let's take that forward. Who's caring for Red Oak? Are you praying for our good officials here, our city council and Mayor Bill and all of that? Are you praying for our county and our state? Senators you may, and congressmen and women you may or may not agree with. Irrelevant whether you agree, pray. And one of the ways I often pray is that they will come to know God's wisdom and they'll come to know God's truth. It's so easy, and all the way up to the White House, it's so easy to think this system is so beyond repair. And Isaiah 55, God says, God regards the nation, I regard the nations, God speaking, I regard all the nations as a drop in the bucket. We're not that big of a deal, folks, and prayer is still what turns a nation. I don't think we're going to get all the solutions if the right people are elected, but we'll definitely be better situated to hear the voice of God. So do pray, and don't assume just because most of what you read and see on TV, in my very strong opinion, has a counter agenda to it. So quite often when you hear the news, you're not hearing the news, you're hearing the creation of news, where there's already interpretation in what they're telling you. And instead of me telling you a black dog crossed the street, I may say something like, people who are known for not caring for their dogs allowed another dog to cross the street. Would you see how it sounds like I said the same thing twice, but I really didn't? So you need to know yourself what candidates believe. You need to do the work yourself. And the first and most important work you can do, pray. Imagine leading our country. Imagine leading our community in our economy. Imagine the shock what healthcare is doing with people and how people who have to lead in those areas need prayer. Prayer is still the most powerful thing we can do, Jerry, and it does change things. It does make a difference.
Always nice to visit with you. Thank you to all of the folks that allow God to use them through Faith Community in a wide variety of capacities.
Amen.
Thanks to all of the folks that come to Faith Community Church, whether it's for a free lunch as a high school junior or senior, or it's whatever capacity, a mother of a preschool child, whatever capacity. Thanks for coming.
Amen. And I know it's going to sound like I'm being kind of fake modest, but I'm not, because if you know me, you know I can be kind of a snob. I'm amazed that I just get to talk about this church and talk about these people, because the real heroes are them. I mean, I got lay people, Jerry, who work full-time, and they care for their kids full-time, and at the end of their busy day, they come and serve this church. I'm amazed. Or they make those sweet rolls. They got dipped in that chili that I still don't understand. But I'm amazed. Those are the heroes of Faith Community Church. That's what makes a church a church. I'm just a guy that does the talking up front on Sunday, but I'll tell you what, if I drop dead today, that church is fine, because it's amazing people.
Well, I think God puts people where he knows if they're open to him, he puts them where he wants them to be and can accomplish what he wants through them, and you're in that position, and I'm thankful for that.
Well, thank you, and I just want to be faithful, available, and teachable.
The Lord knew that we needed Connie in this community, and he does believe in marriage forever, and so it was inevitable you were going to be here too.
You know, if you're going to get the good,
That's
you know
right.
it comes with the good, don't you?
That's
Behind
right.
every great woman is a guy with a big behind. So
That's
you
right.
know how that goes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, then you might be having fun, but I want to tell you, if I were you, I'd like Connie more than me. She's got way more going for her than me, and she's a lot cuter. So.
How windy is it?
Jerry, it is so windy that I'm suspicious when I get out in my car and leave this lovely, fine palatial establishment. I will see more of my deadlines whooshing right by me on their way to Stanton. So I'm going to do my best to catch a couple of deadlines today if I can.
God bless. Make it a great day.
Thank you, my friend. You too. Enjoy your day and enjoy your Savior.
I will do that. Pastor Dave McDonald, Faith Community Church in Red Oak again. They would love to have you come and get a blessing out of any and all of the programs that they provide, whether you're interested in becoming a part of that congregation or not. Here's who we are. KCSI-FM, Villisca, Red Oak, and Shenandoah. KOAK-AM, Red Oak, and Atlantic.
It's time to see what's happening